Hello everybody, my name is Rojo and welcome back to BattleTech. So, we've got ourselves a brand new ship and a cool new mech and a couple new crew members. So I think this time around we'll probably end up just chatting up these new people, maybe catching up with our old members of the crew, I guess if you want to call them that. See if they have anything to say, and then maybe we'll tinker around with that trebuchet a bit, and then next time we will head off and find like a new contract. And I guess we might also take a look at our MechWarriors and ship upgrades too at some point. So for now, why don't we start with Alexander here?
Yes.
All right, Commander Jojo. Welcome to my corner of the command center. From here, I can provide Mr. Olivier with advice and information whenever he needs it. I want to be a resource for you as well. In keeping with my role as restoration liaison, I will give you whatever additional information I can about our campaign moving forward. Come see me after any major operation, and I'll share whatever I can. Okay, how's the war effort going? I mean, it just started, but things are going well enough, Commander. Our initial attack on Weldry was an enormous success, despite the psychological costs of what we discovered there. Still, the Directorate's atrocities have steeled our resolve. I've never seen Lady Arano so determined. Okie dokie. Out of curiosity, Commander Jojo, what did you think of her speech? I recorded it, you know. The broadcasts are on the way to every corner of Directorate space.
Lifebuoy watch and lifeboat crew to muster.
I don't know who's talking on my ship. I don't know who that was. You know, it sounded honest to me. Good, that's what I was hoping to hear. The presumption of authenticity will carry us far. Well, was she not being authentic? I hope she was. I don't like being fooled. For what it's worth, Lady Arano meant every word she said, but the people may not see it that way. Espinosa's propaganda machine will do everything in its power to tarnish our accomplishments and drag us through the dirt. I imagine they will. I can imagine the headlines now. Police and civil servants cut down by weapons of war. Dangerous convicts set loose by a traitor, endangering nobles and commoners alike. A dangerous narrative, and one that we'll have to counter at every turn. So this dude is he's like her presidential campaign manager, looking out for the big picture, I guess. With luck, many of our people will believe what they've heard in our broadcast over the Directorate's propaganda, but I fear that Espinosa's hardline supporters will be far less eager to listen, as would be expected. If we fail to turn them against the Directorate, we run the risk of ongoing violence even after we liberate their home systems. That's why messages like Kamea's speech are so important. I mean, practically speaking, if the Directorate is using propaganda, we'll need a little of our own. Sadly, yes. If we're going to win this war, we need to rally the Irigan people, including a percentage of Espinosa's supporters. They have to see that we're better than the Directorate again and again until our message is impossible to ignore. For you, that means military victories. For me, it means more broadcasts, spin, and outreach. Public opinion is just another battlefield, and I'll be knee-deep in the trenches until the day I die. Alrighty, well, you're new to the crew, so what's up, my dude? We didn't really get a whole lot of chance to talk back on Cormorant. I'd be happy to, but honestly, Commander, I've been so consumed with matters of war of late that I wouldn't even know where to begin. Well, yeah, so what was up before the whole coup thing? A noble scion, much the same as you were from what I understand. As a fellow noble, I'm sure that you already know more than most about my upbringing. It was a life of great privilege and even greater expectation. I spent my early years invested in academic pursuits, study of history, mathematics, and statecraft. I strove to excel at every subject, anything to avoid disappointing my mother and father. The extent to which they would come to disappoint me is a cruel irony, but it's one that I've come to accept. What kind of expectations? Do you know House Madeira's motto? Behold our splendor. I had a familial obligation to live extravagantly, and to do so within the public eye, but I was also expected to develop my intellect. My life was a 50-50 split between carousing and academic study. In truth, it felt like I was leading two lives, and putting on a show in both. But I'll never complain about my upbringing. I've enjoyed advantages that most children of the periphery could only dream of. Kind of sounds like dude just went to college. Anyway, it must be hard to have your own parents betray you if that's what happened. Oh, it is. Nothing could be harder. When Kamea retakes her throne, there will be a reckoning, and the director collaborators will be tried for their crimes. My mother and father will be at the front of that list, and as terrible as it feels to say it, they'll deserve whatever punishment they receive. Oh, I see. That is pretty shitty. Well, let's talk about something else. Tell me about Goldra. Oh, I didn't read that, though. A truly beautiful one. You should really travel there sometime after all this is over and see for yourself. Imagine lush green lowlands giving way to mile upon mile of white sand coastline. Sandy beaches kissed by warm, salty seas and soft rain, perfumed with saffron and cardamom. And that's not to mention the wildlife. Close your eyes and imagine it, Commander. Shield terns wheeling and soaring, their brilliant plumage glittering in the sunlight. Leviathan sablefish flashing silver beneath the waves. Dolphinfish leaping, breaching the surface of the water in riotous streaks of yellow and green. Places like Goldra are special, Commander Jojo. They must be preserved. This is what we're fighting for. Something unspoiled and unique, and ours. Something that reminds us how good the periphery can be. Okie dokie? We should chat later.
Until next time.
But I appreciate the little chatty chat. Darius, what's up?
All ears, Commander.
Alright, Commander Jojo, I'm sorry about what happened on Weldry's with Sir Raju and all. If only we'd known, I'd have invaded the Directorate myself to get him back, but now it's too late. Said you knew Mastiff. I did have that privilege, yes. I didn't know him as well as you did, of course, but we were together in the trenches of the Fjaldr campaign, and I raised a glass with Sir Raju in the canteen on more than one occasion. What'd you think of him? Family. The old man was damn proud of his family and heritage. There wasn't a drop of noble privilege in his veins, but the Montgomery name carried weight. Hard as nails since the dawn of time, his father used to tell him. Those were his family words and personal creed, and I can personally attest to their accuracy. When we were fighting alongside the Royal Guard in the Fjaldr campaign, a pirate-driven hunchback managed to flank us. Decker was piloting a Locust at the time, and the bastard took his leg clean off. The Locust went down hard, and Decker blacked out. He was a dead man. There was nothing we could do to keep that hunchback from putting a foot through his cockpit, and it would have if Mastiff hadn't come charging in with the Centurion. His first punch took the hunchback's main gun clean off. He was totally matter-of-fact about it. It wasn't a desperate swing or a panic move. He just calmly put his fist into the pirate mech's weapon pod, grabbed it, and wrenched it free from its moorings. I was like, I don't know, like, why? Or it was like, I don't know, like watching a farmer uproot a tree stump. You know, a workman-like, and all the while, we could hear the pirate over an open channel screaming and cursing as he desperately tried to fight back. The old man took that hunchback apart piece by piece. Imagine a veteran prizefighter locked in a cage with a snot-nosed kid, with no rules or referees in sight. He put on a clinic for everyone to see. The rest of the pirates broke rank and fled when they saw what happened to their friend. Can't say I blame them. In their place, I'd have done the same. I don't know anything about an enormous knife, but anyway, that's what the Montgomerys were, warriors. As long as anyone could remember, born to fight and tempered on the battlefield, and Sir Raju was the last. Never had any children. Well, he's my surrogate papa, I guess. Aparaju. So I will carry on his legacy, maybe. Something about a knife? I don't know anything about a knife, but whatever. The Kukri? Yeah, I don't see too many of those outside of Three Worlds League. These days, Kukri blades are mostly associated with the 4th Regulan Hussars. Not Mastiffs, though. He claimed that he inherited that curved blade beauty from his grandfather, who had inherited it from his grandfather, and so on, all the way back to the family's origins on Terra. During the Fjandor campaign, I saw him use that blade against a pirate twice his size, split the bastard's skull like a rotten cantaloupe. It was horrifying and beautiful all at once. You don't see that kind of skill every day. So you can fight in mechs and not in mechs, huh? I wonder what happened to that old blade of his. It wasn't with him on Weldry. The old man must have felt like he'd lost a piece of himself when the directorate took it away. Oh, maybe we can get a sweet knife later. Well, thanks for the talk, etc., etc. I'll catch you later. Is there anything else? Questions about running the company? I don't think so. Nope, we're good on that. And, chatting to catch up. I think we already did all this too. Yeah, we're good. Alright. Cool, see you, man.
Catch you later, Commander.
Alrighty, let's go talk to, Yang, I suppose.
You need some work done, Commander?
How you liking the new ship, my dude? Love it. She's a big ship, Commander. This bucket can carry more tonnage than I know what to do with, and the mech bay. Man, that mech bay. Do you have any idea how tough it is to refit a mech on a Leopard? Other mech techs won't even try it. Well, we've seen those difficulties as reflected by our mech tech rating and how long it took to do anything. You got no room to maneuver, no room to do anything. The odds of getting killed in some horrific industrial accident go right through the roof. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I like the new ship, and I especially like the fact that it isn't my job to keep her flying anymore. I guess that puts Lady Arano in my good graces, which is rare for a wannabe Empress. Lord Madeira, too. Hell, even Centrella. As long as they keep the Argo, and they're all fine with me. Or as long as they let us keep the Argo, and they're all fine with me. Alright. Cool.
Talk to you later.
We'll talk to Pharaoh last, so we can do, like, our ship upgrades and stuff. If we can afford any, that is. Let's see what Sumire has to say about recent events. Commander Jojo, what's up? Oh, Sumire, please, call me Rojo. Well, what do you think of the Argo? Are you going to be able to fly it? She's different. Piloting her won't be a problem, but I can't say I'm happy about living on a piece of lost tech. Too many question marks for my taste. That said, I get the necessity. The Leopard is just too damn small. Lost tech. Advanced technology from the Star League era that can no longer be replicated with modern industrial shenaniganry. Anyway, as long as we're able to restrain ourselves from pushing any mysterious buttons, we should be okay. That's what I keep telling myself anyway. And life aboard the Argo should continue to improve as Dr. Murad brings new sections of the ship online, so we've got that to look forward to. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to get going on this thing. Sounds like a plan to me. Can't wait to see what you do with the place. Personally, I'm rooting for a day spa, but I'm easy. I'll take what I can get. I think we're all set with you. I'll catch you later.
Commander?
Let's talk to, I think that's everybody that we've chatted with now. Let's go see what Farrah's up to.
Yeah, boss?
Commander Jojo, what can I do for you? Again, please call me Rojo. Let's ask her about herself first. You're gonna be a part of the crew, tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, I'm an actual doctor, but not the medical kind. I hold 2 doctorates, one in physics, the other in mechanical engineering. And now I'm hauling around in a lost tech wonder with a crew of merry pirates seeking my fortune. It's funny the places life takes you. Okay, anything you want to elaborate on there? Yeah, sure, if you like. Let's see, where to begin? Well, I was born on Regulus in the Free Worlds League. My parents were academics, I know, big surprise, and I spent most of my early years bouncing back and forth between their suburban apartment and the Firdausi, my Baba June's live-in dropship. Baba June? Who's Baba June? My grandfather. He'd carved out a nice little business for himself, running a taxi service for pilgrims traveling to and from, Dar es Salaam, I guess. Haven of Peace. And they have Center of Islamic Faith. So I guess we have contemporary religions in the BattleTech universe. I guess that makes sense. It is based on a potential real-life timeline, I guess. I think, at least. As much as my father frowned on Baba June's old-fashioned lifestyle and beliefs, he wasn't blind to how much I loved the old man, and so he occasionally consented to let me board the Firdausi and go along for the ride. I will always cherish my memories of those voyages, the warmth behind Baba June's smile, the excitement of leaving Regulus behind. I wonder if I'm saying Baba. Is it Baba June, maybe? Baba June? I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me. Anyway, chatting with the pilgrims and getting lost in the stars and eating prepackaged, Besenhan? Something like that out of a shiny tin. Those times are all crystal clear in my memory, as if they happened yesterday, and oh, how I miss that wonderful man. It could be Baba Hoon, too, I guess. I don't know. This may seem silly coming from a mercenary engineer, but I've come to think of the life I've chosen as a way of honoring my Baba. By carving out my own path among the stars, I'm doing what I can to keep his memory alive. That sounds trite. It sounds trite, I'm sure, but sue me. It's what I've chosen to believe. What about after you left home? Well, I actually spent a little time in the Lyran Commonwealth before I pursued my studies. Long story, that. But suffice to say that it was its own kind of learning experience. When I did decide to get a higher education, I wound up back in the Free Worlds League. I did my undergrad studies at the University of Atreus, and went on to study, went on to Sion University in the Kaplan Confederation to earn my doctorates. It's one of the places we could have been from, I think. For a top 3 school with a Maskarovka screened admissions process. Oh, okay. Sion U was surprisingly open to transfer students. Anyway, I could go on and on for hours about my academic career, and you'd probably smile and nod as I rambled, but come on. I mean, this can't be interesting for you, can it? You're a mercenary, you stomp around in a giant robot for a living. Closest I got to adventure back then was my dissertation defense. Alright. Have you always wanted to be a shipboard engineer? No, not always. When I was 15, I wanted to be a statistician. You know, a nice quiet life, alone in the ivory tower. That was what my personal dropship was going to be called. Preparing mathematical models and studying survey results. So yeah, you know, every girl's dream. You seem pretty enthusiastic. Why didn't you follow through with that? Well, interests change. I mean, I still like statistics, but it's really more of a hobby now. Is that weird? People have told me it's weird. I don't know. Plotting graphs and forecasting future events calms me. It's like my own little way of using math to bring order from chaos. And besides, everybody needs a hobby. I know for a fact that Darius crochets. Does he now? Didn't you ever want to do anything more exciting? It seems like kind of a perhaps rude question, but we'll ask. Well, like being a MechWarrior? No. Much as I love the idea of stomping around in a giant robot, I'm not huge on the whole murdering people with lasers thing. Ah, yeah, there is that. Doesn't really square with my personal beliefs. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to work with MechWarriors. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be here. but the actual firing of weapons, no, it isn't for me. So why engineering? Uncle Heiner's Experiment World, live-action STEM edutainment program from the Laren Commonwealth. It started airing just after my 19th birthday. You may have seen it. Ran for 3 seasons before it was canceled. The host was a tattooed, chain-smoking nihilist who taught children the magic of chemistry. You know, making thermite with aluminum cans and a belt sander, that kind of thing. It's like a Bill Nye / Beekman's World analog, I guess. Yeah, sure, I remember. I married him. Oh. Long story. She got a lot of long stories that she's cutting down for us, but the important bit is, in the 6 months before the annulment, I learned that I had a real talent with machines. When Hunter blew out a power relay or took a tire iron to the bandsaw, I was the one who would put it back together again. Found a great deal of peace in that. From there, it was just a matter of getting into the right schools and following my bliss. So that's what I did, and here I am. Turned out alright for me, all things considered. Cool, alright, let's talk about my ship and how it's going to be awesome. I guess we gotta do this too. How'd you end up fixing this? No, it wasn't me. I had a team working under me. Over 200 of Larton's most accomplished engineers, electricians, and shipwrights. It was really pretty amazing, I've gotta say. Shouting through a megaphone at a team of hundreds, watching them hang on my every word. How much did that cost? Oh, it wasn't Lady Arano. The payments came directly from House Centrella. That was a figure of speech. They were indirect payments, of course, routed through countless intermediaries to obscure where the money was coming from, but yeah, the Centrellas paid for it. Why do I feel like we're going to end up in debt to the Centrellas at some point here, and it's not going to end well? At any rate, now, as to how much the Centrellas paid, I honestly have no idea. I'm sure the figure was astronomical. But still, cheaper than getting dragged into an unwanted war, eh? Yeah. If this ship turns out to be as important as Lady Arano thinks it will, then it was money well spent. Have you ever managed a team that big before? I'm going to guess not. Never in my wildest dreams. Prior to my time at the Lyerton shipyard, the biggest team I'd ever managed was the crew I had with me on Axelis, and they all got killed. This job went a lot better than that one did, by the way. Only 3 deaths across the entire project. Before you ask, none of them was my fault. There was an accident with one of the industrial cranes, and, well, it was horrible. I pray for their souls. That went off the rails in a pretty big way, didn't it? Sorry about that. I guess I'm still in a little bit of shock from our time on Axelis. I'm having a hard time getting what I saw there out of my mind. But it's neither here nor there. We're talking about this ship. Is there something else you'd like to know? Oh, but there is. Tell me about the ship. Yes, Commander. Ask me whatever you'd like. Can you tell me about the Argo? A fair amount, Commander. I've been researching this ship for several months. Boeing Interstellar produced just 2 of these beauties back in 2762. Boeing's still around, huh? They were intended to follow behind the first. They were intended to follow behind the first wave of exploratory missions, supporting multiple surveyor, terraformer, and colonizer teams on deep survey missions. Although she's far too large to land on a planet, her docking collar system allows for smaller dropships like your Leopard to come along for the ride. The Argo is a mobile space station, in a sense, providing supply and temporary habitation for teams on dangerous missions in unsettled space. Why don't we see more ships like it? The Argo is the product of her era. She lacks the armor or maneuverability to function in battle, and she's vastly outclassed in size and firepower, even by the smallest warships. She's a peacetime ship meant for peacetime exploration duties, and planned with a focus on long-term orbital deployment. It was her non-combat design that ultimately led to her abandonment. In an earlier era, she might have seen widespread usage, but the fall of the Star League and the near-constant state of war we've endured since then has rendered the Argo little more than a forgotten experimental footnote in the history of dropship production. Sad, really. In her own way, the Argo represents the back seat that science and exploration have taken to military goals, the pursuit of military goals. I don't necessarily think that's true. If I'm being real with you, because I think we might want a combat ship, but whatever. She is ideal for our purposes, and with 57,000 tons of cargo space, she has all the room we need for supplies, spare equipment, personnel, you name it. In fact, her hold is so vast, we'll have no trouble storing as many mech chassis and partial mech salvage as you can get your hands on. That's good to know. Okay, so how can we do the improving thing? From her current state, she can absolutely be improved. In the Starleague days, the ship was state-of-the-art. Now she's a shell of her former glory. With time and sea bills, though, there are plenty of ways I can upgrade her. It's about increasing efficiency. As your executive officer Darius is so fond of saying, time is money. He says it a lot, you know. Okay, systems and support upgrades. Systems and support upgrades are fundamental to returning the Argo to her former glory. They're foundational. You do some basic upgrades to improve performance in a few areas, but without improvements to systems and support, you're limited on how far you can go, okay? So we've got to kind of do those first sometimes. In addition to the foundational upgrades she requires, I can also upgrade the Argo's drive system to improve her travel speed, and with some work, I can bring more of her habitat pods online, so we can hire more MechWarriors and have more place for them to bunk. Combat and deployment upgrades. Combat and deployment upgrades come in three flavors: those that increase our mech bay capacity, those that improve our mech repair and refit speed, and those that intensify MechWarrior training. Increasing mech bay capacity means more battle mechs ready for immediate deployment. It takes time and sea bills to pull mech chassis out of storage and refit them with weapons and equipment. However, more mech bay capacity means less downtime. If your lance gets banged up on a mission and needs weeks of repair time, you won't be able to take another contract unless you've got mechs in reserve. Improving your repair and refit speed gets your battle mechs out of the mech bay and back on the battlefield, where they can be earning us money. Finally, adding and upgrading MechWarrior training simulators will allow your MechWarriors to improve their skills and abilities during the inevitable downtime of interstellar space travel. That sounds very useful. Personnel and medical upgrades. Just like battle mechs, your MechWarriors will need to get patched up from time to time. Upgrading the Argo's medical facilities means getting your people back to work quicker. There's a display of our medical bay's efficiency and medical points on your travel display. Under the finances and crew morale readouts, the higher the medical rating, the faster people will heal. As for the personnel improvements, well, I'd imagine they're obvious. MechWarriors need to relax and vent coolant between combat drops. If you don't give them a place to do that, they'll find ways to keep themselves entertained, sometimes to the detriment of the rest of the crew. Upgrading the crew conditions on the Argo will have tangible benefits on the battlefield and make life quieter for us on those long voyages. Can I upgrade multiple things at once? Sorry, Commander, no can do. The rule is one update at a time, and I wrote it for a reason. I'm the only one qualified to oversee this work, and if I spread myself too thin, bad things could happen. Extinction-level things. Well, for us at least. Gotcha. Alright. That's enough for now. Thank you.
Don't be a stranger, Commander.
Alright. Ship upgrades. What do we got? We've got a little bit of stuff here. Power system. So these are things that we eventually have to upgrade if we want to get more of all these other things, I believe. So we've got a habitat pod, we can get a beta pod. Got a drive system, but we can't do anything with that structure. Not exactly clear what these will do for us. It's not very expensive. Power system. Average cost. So as we upgrade, we're gonna also increase our upkeep a little bit. Personnel and medical, we got a med bay, we've got recreation. can get an upgraded lounge eventually. So this gives us... I see. If we just click on these, we can... So +1 morale. And these... well, I guess maybe unlock just more things. Yeah. So we can't get this until we have repair of power conduits and structural repair. Cool. Gotcha. Alright. What about here? Mech bays. You get a second mech bay. For that, we need repaired power conduits. So this is probably pretty important. This is also extremely expensive. Repair and refit. Repair scaffolding. 20 days. $270,000, but we get +2 tech points. That sounds actually really good too. Are these just like more tech points? Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then training modules. 20 experience each day. MechWarriors with less than 10,000 total experience can benefit from this training. Cool. I don't think that's going to benefit anybody who's currently on our squad necessarily, or at least not very much. But it could be important later. So I think... Is this +1 morale per day, or is it just like literally +1 morale? Not sure. Well, I think I'm going to start with this repair scaffolding, and then we'll move on to maybe some structural stuff, so we can see about getting some of these other things going. Actually, yeah, you know what? No, I take it back. Well, so difficult decisions. Difficult decisions. How long is this going to take? It takes 20 days and a lot of money. And then to get this, we need what? Repair the power conduits. Yeah. You know what? Let's do the power conduits first.
All right, I'll get the team on it right away.
I think that's our best bet, and then we can get another mech bay, and that way we've got a little bit more leeway for what we have available, and then we'll probably go for maybe some more mech tech points. In the meantime, I suppose we can take a quick look at this trebuchet. If I'm going to use this, it needs to have more armor. It's pretty much non-negotiable. This ammo out of here. Jump jets. It can have jump jets. Probably ditch like one laser pretty safely. LRM-15s. I wonder if... do you have the LRM-10++? So this has 5 tons and 12 heat. This has 7 tons and 15 heat. So we're getting 5 more missiles for 3 more heat, which is a pretty good deal, actually. However, there is a problem, and that is simply that this stuff is too heavy. So if we were going to use this mech, we would have to take off one of these. At least, I think. And that'll give us some more tonnage, so we can at least get these up to like 100. And then, like, we're going to have weapons on our arms. These need to be in better shape here, and do something like that, maybe. Very lightly armored on the back, which isn't really ideal, but what are you going to do? And I don't know. I feel like this is probably going to be a little bit too heavy, but we could still put an LRM-5 on here. Then we're shooting 20 missiles. And we're better off than 2 LRM-10s, I think. Just barely as far as like heat goes and everything. And then we can we want, we can start putting on some other stuff. Like, for example, we'll throw on some jump jets. Because jump jets are extremely useful. Do something like that. Does it have any, doesn't have any support weapons or anything. I think it's probably fine. And then we can probably afford to, actually going to get a little bit more heat efficiency out of this. Can probably afford to put on like a heat sink. And then put on a little bit more armor. Something like that, maybe? If we ditch the heatsink, we could do even more armor, but I don't think that's necessarily strictly necessary. Could also turn this thing into like a, just like a missile or a laser boat, kind of like some of our other ones. We can get 4 medium lasers on this without any trouble, or even like, well, no, I was gonna say maybe a large laser. We just keep the LRM-15 and put on 1 large laser, and just stay at range as best we can. It'd be sort of interesting, but I think I'm going to try this out. I just don't feel comfortable bringing out mechs with not a lot of armor because, you know, you get focused once and then you get your arms blown off, maybe people die, etc., etc. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll try this out. 10 days, sure.
On it. I'll let you know when that's done.
And then we'll see. So it's going to be a little while before we can use the trebuchet. But at any rate, we've done everything I think we can do for now. The only thing that's really left is to find ourselves a new contract.